Hey, hello, and welcome to this episode of Learn Everyday English, your roadway to English proficiency. Well, as you can see, I'm in a different locale today. I'm in we can say, our game room. It's a room where I guess we have places where my wife can paint and draw, and we can kind of do some exercises and that type of thing. I'm in here because my wife is in the other room doing some work for her school classes, and we're expecting the grandkids to come over, and so they're probably going to be in the other room. I wanted to try to make this, record this video real quick before they get here. But I got a interesting lesson for you today. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. But before I get into that, there's 3 things you can do for me. Hey, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and 3, tell your friends about it so that they can benefit from these videos too. You know it, just like you. Well, this is going to be kind of an interesting video, and the topic kind of just hit me. It hit me, or I realized it all of a sudden, and it's kind of an interesting thing that happened to me. I was at church, I think 2 weeks ago, and the pastor was talking about a topic, and he was talking about the Book of Haggai. Haggai, if you're not, say, Christian or religious, you probably don't know anything about that, but it's one of the books that's in the Old Testament of the Bible, and it's called the Book of Haggai. And he was talking about the children of Israel and the things that they were going through at that time. And they had, what the book was about is this. They had recently returned from exile, which means, say you're been sent away to a different land and you came back to your homeland once again. So they were in exile and they were facing hardship, and they were trying to rebuild the temple, and there was a lot of struggle and difficulty in doing that, and they had a lot of difficulty in remaining faithful in rebuilding the temple after they had experienced a lot of loss and disappointment and hard times. So, and Haggai, who was the prophet, he was trying to assure the people, encourage the people, hey, that their efforts and their faithfulness will be blessed and rewarded. And I said to myself, but this is kind of a lot of similarities to learning a language, because it can be very frustrating. It can be difficult. You may go through a lot of struggles, or you may struggle a lot, have a lot of disappointment and loss of excitement. And you need somebody or something that will encourage you, right? That your efforts are going to bear a lot of fruit. Your faithfulness, you will be blessed and rewarded if you just continue to keep at it, to continue to study, to continue to put in the hard work. And so the pastor was going through certain items that the children of Israel were learning, or they needed to learn, or they needed to remember, to keep in mind. And a lot of similarities, like I said, to learning a foreign language. So I went back through kind of this book, and I came up with my 10 things that I learned about language learning from the Book of Haggai. So this is not really going to be a religious episode at all, nothing to do with the Bible or getting you to believe something. It's things that can be applicable to you and to me as we try to learn a foreign language. So here's what the key things I found interesting that apply to language learning from the Book of Haggai. The first thing is, don't be stuck in the past where you can't see the future. Hey, don't be stuck in the past where you can't see the future. And what do you mean by that, Gary? Okay, I'm going to tell you. It's like I have a personal example. I studied Spanish in high school a long time ago, but looking back, it was a waste of time. I studied Spanish for 4 years, and after 4 years, I couldn't really speak. I couldn't carry on a good conversation. I couldn't understand people speaking to me very well. So I can look back on those days or that time and say, hey, I couldn't learn Spanish in high school. It was a waste of time. I'm just not good at learning languages. Spanish is not for me. And I can have the attitude that it's not worth it. I'm never going to learn Spanish because I'm focusing on the past and I'm not trying to look into the future. So that's what I mean. Don't get stuck in the past. Don't have a negative impression of, say, something that you did in the past and it's going to influence you or to keep you from trying something right now or in the future. Maybe you've had a bad experience learning English. Maybe you were in an uncomfortable situation. Maybe somebody told you, hey, English is so hard, or you're never going to learn it. You just don't have the ability. Hey, don't listen to that. So don't be stuck in the past. The second thing that I learned while reading the Book of Haggai is you need to determine what is your why, or motivation, or your vision, or your goal. That's kind of the same way to say this. What is your why? Why are you trying to learn English? You need to define that for yourself. You need to have a good and specific reason. Why are you learning English? And you should never then don't lose sight of your purpose. So once you find out and determine your why, your purpose, hey, don't lose sight of that. Make sure you keep your eyes focused on the purpose. So what are some of the whys people learn a foreign language? Maybe your wife or husband, your spouse, your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, say speaks English in your case, and you want to be able to speak with them or their family. That's a good why, your motivation. Maybe there's a lot of English speakers in the country where you live in, and you want to be able to interact with and talk with them. Maybe you want to travel to an English-speaking country. Maybe you want to travel to the United States, New York, or Boston, or Los Angeles, or maybe Houston. Maybe you want to go to Canada, England, Australia. So there's a lot of places you can go where English will be very handy to know. And I hear this from a lot of people. Maybe you want to get a better job. There's better job opportunities. I know there's a friend of mine I speak with in Colombia. He's trying to get a better job by improving his English. I've talked to and heard a lot of people in Spain want to improve their English because they can get better jobs in their country, or if you want to go outside the country and get a better job. Or maybe you want to actually move to an English-speaking country to live there for a period of time. Or maybe you want to try to retire there and you need to learn that language. So there's a lot of reasons, people want to learn English. So try to find out and specify what is your why. What is your why? Hey, let me know in the comments if you have a why. The third thing that I learned about language learning from the Book of Haggai is you and we all need to examine our priorities to see what we are most interested in, and we need to be brutally honest. Brutally honest is really, really honest with ourselves, to be open. What are you most interested in? Hey, do you really have, for example, what are you most interested in learning English? Are you maybe trying to impress somebody? Maybe you have the wrong reason you're trying to learn English. Or maybe you need to look at your the time that you have to focus on English. Do you really have the time that is needed? Maybe, some people just don't have a whole lot of extra time. Most people can find time if they want to, find time for the things that they really want to do. But maybe there are a few people that maybe right now is not the best time for you to learn English. Maybe you have a lot of pressure in your life. Maybe you just had a loved one die. You're not emotionally or mentally kind of ready to try to learn a language. So look at that in your life. Are you putting other things first? Do you have a lot of things going on? Do you have things that are more important to you than English? Maybe you like to play golf. Maybe you're trying to go to school and get a degree. Maybe you're trying to get married, you're trying to buy a house, you want to get another job. Maybe you just don't really have the time that you really need to devote to English. You need to sit down and think about that, because you don't want to try to learn English and you say, oh, hey, I tried to learn English and it didn't work for me. But maybe you didn't put in the time that you really needed to put in. So be brutally honest with yourself. Or if you're studying English, are you really doing everything that you need to do to achieve your goal? And so you need to put first things first. If you say you really want to learn English and you improve your English, you need to make that a priority in your life. You need to put it first. So a question for you is English a priority in your life? So be brutally honest with yourself in answering that question. The next thing that I learned about language learning from the Book of Haggai is this. You and I, we need to know and put together a game plan or a roadmap to get to where we want to go. We need to put together a game plan, like a plan of action. What are you going to do? And a roadmap. How are you going to get there? What are the steps? Are you doing, and this was important to the children of Israel, you have to be doing the right work. You have to be doing the right work. And this is what I learned from Haggai. We have to do the right work, like maybe study and practice, with the right mindset, like focus and intent, in the right way, like a procedure or resources. So again, you need to do the right work with the right mindset in the right way. That's very important. So are you doing the right work? Are you doing the right work? For example, in learning a language, it's important, if you heard the concept of comprehensible input, which is a lot of listening, but you need to listen to the right types of things, nothing that's too advanced or too basic for you. And you have to listen a lot, comprehensible input. And that can also include reading. But then you need to do some output stuff as well, maybe writing or speaking. And you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you have to find what works for you. So what works for me? Hey, what works for your friend, maybe? What works for your family member in learning English may not work for you. So you need to find out what works for you. What are you interested in? So that's the next thing. You need to define and put together a game plan or roadmap and make sure that you're doing the right work. The next thing that I learned about language learning from the Book of Haggai is this. Hey, don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Do you know what that word means? Yeah, procrastinate means like to put off or delay or not do something and wait to do something at a later date or a later time. And that's a bad habit we can get into, and that's usually never a good thing. So don't procrastinate. Don't say, I'm too busy. I want to learn English in a month. I'm going to learn English in January. Hey, that's a New Year's resolution. Or I'm going to learn English when, I feel I'm more ready for it, or when after I get this new job and I'm comfortable with it, then I can devote more. We always have excuses where we want to procrastinate and delay, but there's never a best time really to do certain things. You just have to put your mind to it, make up your mind, and just do it. So we often say, I'll do it when I have time, or also when I'm not tired, And we pay a price, though, for doing this. But we always find time to do the things that we love to do, don't we? We always find time for that. So it just depends. Hey, what is your priority? Are you making learning English a top priority, as we discussed before? The next thing that I learned from the Book of Haggai is we might be stuck in learning English or foreign language because you are doing the wrong things really well. You're doing the wrong things very well, and you are consumed with the wrong things. So, what do I mean by that? Maybe you're focusing way too much of your time on grammar. And this was something I was guilty of when I was studying Spanish, because I focused a lot on grammar, and I said, well, I'm not ready to speak until I'm comfortable with Spanish grammar. I'm not ready to speak unless I understand very well the difference between por y para, or ser y estar, or the subjuntivo. I was just constantly waiting, saying to myself, oh, I'm not ready. I just need to be good at this. I need to understand this a little bit better. And I just kept waiting, and I waited for at least 2.5 years before I really started speaking, and that was a mistake. So I think I was stuck because I was doing the wrong thing, like waiting, but I was doing it very well. I was waiting very well. And maybe another thing that you're doing, wrong thing you're doing very well, is you're afraid to speak. You're afraid to speak. Hey, let me let you in on a secret. In order to speak well, you have to speak. There's no getting around that. There's no way around it. You have to speak. And I know it's intimidating at first, but just try to have fun with it, okay? Or maybe you're always complaining. You're complaining about something. Oh, English is too difficult. Oh, it's too many structures in English. I don't understand. I'll never do it. You're listening to people that tell you, hey, English is so hard. It was so hard for me. I had to stop doing it. So stop complaining and just get to it. Just do it. Or maybe this, you're always comparing yourself to other people. So be careful when you're, especially on YouTube, because you see these videos, people say, hey, I learned English in 3 months, or I learned English in 6 months fluently. And to me, that's just a bunch of bull, we say in English, a bunch of bull or a bunch of baloney, usually. It takes a lot longer than that to really learn English well. You know, maybe there are some people that maybe can learn it if they live in a foreign country. They're speaking every single day, all day long, you know, but to me, it takes years to really learn a foreign language well. So don't compare yourself to others. I know I kind of did this myself initially, but you have to come to a point and say, hey, I'm learning English for me, the way I learn English, and it may not be the same as somebody else learned English. So just, you're on your own journey, and just enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey while you're going. Don't be so focused on getting to the finish line, as we say. Or maybe you want to master the language quickly, and that's a problem we have in today's society. We want instant gratification. Have you heard that term? Instant gratification. Like we want to be rewarded instantly. We don't want to put in a lot of work over a long period of time. We just want to work a little bit, a short period of time, and then we want to experience the reward and not put in the work. And it doesn't really work like that in learning a foreign language, because I remember when I first started studying Spanish, I thought, okay, you know, maybe in about a year I'll be able to speak Spanish pretty well. And a year went by, 2 years went by, 3 years went by, and I realized, hey, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And like I said, part of that was because I had was using the wrong roadmap. I was putting in the wrong type of work. I wasn't really doing the right types of things. But now I realize that. Hey, the next thing that we do, that I learned language learning from the Book of Haggai, and this may be a problem for us. I kind of touched on this already, but we take the wrong advice from the wrong people. We take the wrong advice from the wrong people. So who are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Are you listening to positive people? Or are you listening to negative people? Are you listening to people that have achieved what you want to achieve? Or are you listening to and watching people that have failed at trying to learn English? So that's very important. You need to put yourself in contact with positive people and positive things that are going to encourage you on your English language journey. So that's very important. And don't listen to the naysayers, we say, the people that are going to tell you negative things. Don't listen to them, and don't really hang around them as you learn English. The next thing that learned about language learning is this. We need to be faithful. Faithful, that means we need to persevere in the face of adversity. We need to just keep trying even when things get hard or difficult. So we need to be faithful. We need to be persistent and consistent. That's very, very, very important. Be persistent. Never give up. Consistent, you need to do things very regularly every day, even if it's a little bit every day. And we will be rewarded if and when we persevere or we continue without stopping or quitting. And it's important to complete the work that you started. So you've already started learning English. Some of you have been learning English for a long time. I've been learning Spanish now between 5 and 6 years. I put in too much work. It would make no sense to stop now. And you've been studying English for a while. Hey, just keep at it. There will be times that we say you will reach a plateau where it appears that you're not improving. But sometimes it's difficult for us to determine if we are improving. Other people can see it, and sometimes we can't. So just keep at it and continue, and you will get there. They say Rome was not built in a day. So, and we're in it for the long haul, we say, a long term, right? We're in it. We're running a marathon. We're not running a sprint. The two more items that learn from the Book of Haggai is this. We need to reject a defeatist attitude when we run into opposition or discouraging circumstances, which means don't give up so easily. That's a problem we have in today's society. People get too discouraged so easily. Once they run into a little problem, oh, it's a big problem. I just can't do it. I'm going to quit. And the world is full of quitters, right? You probably know a lot of people, and I've quit certain things myself, but and I've regretted some of those things I quit at, and I never achieved my goal. But you'll never achieve your goal if you quit. So reject a defeatist attitude. Don't give up so easily. We need to accept our failures and mistakes. We need to accept them. That's part of life. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to fail. But a lot of times we learn a lot when we fail or make mistakes, especially in learning a language. I've learned a whole lot about Spanish and improved my Spanish by making a lot of mistakes in Spanish. We need to work even when it is hard, and it won't always be easy. Taking action is key. We need to do something. We can't just sit around and think about it. We need to actually do something. And if it were easy to do, everybody would be doing it, right? Everybody would be learning English. Everybody would be speaking English fluently if it were easy. But it's not easy. So you need to remember that. But you can do it. And the last thing I learned from the Book of Haggai is this. It's okay, we say, to get off track. We just need to correct ourselves and get back on track. So to get off track is we get sidetracked, or we focus on something different than what we should be focusing on. Maybe you're trying to learn English, but you focus on something else. Hey, you start doing something else. You don't have enough time, or you're not devoting enough time to English. It's okay. Those things will happen, but don't let that continue, or don't let that continue for a long period of time. Once you realize or find yourself doing something that you're not really focusing on English, just put your attention back on what you need to be focusing on, and don't beat yourself up over it. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's going to happen. That's part of life. We get off track. So just get right back on track again. So those are 10 things that I learned when reading the Book of Haggai, that the children of Israel, or the people in the Bible, that they were learning while they were going through a difficult period of time in their life, but it was very applicable to language learning. So I hope you learned a few things. from this video today. So let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching this episode of Learn Everyday English. And remember, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, and 3, tell your friends about it. Well, that'll do it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later. Hey, goodbye.